Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Unwatched Pile. Oh, they're falling on me. Movies are falling everywhere. Hello, everybody. It's me, Stephen Billings. I guess that's Andrew. He's not going to say his name.
It is me. It is me. I thought you were going to give me like a layup or alley-oop intro.
I hate basketball.
Oh, nice reference.
I like basketball. I like playing it. I don't care about watching it.
Gotcha. Well, coincidentally, it is the official start of the new NBA season tonight. So What a reference. What a reference.
Sure, yeah.
I can feel you when it comes to piles falling, because I got piles tipping around me.
I saw you before you sat down. It's literally like a couch made out of movies.
I've got a table of like old like DVDs and things that I've replaced over time, and they've just been stacking up so high that they're all like this. And after a while, gravity just takes over, and they fall all over themselves. Yeah, so I got to pick them all back up again.
Dude, we got to do something about that.
I know.
You got to do a little bit of a cleansing. It sounds like.
I guess so. But we are back here once again for Unwatched Pile number 17. I didn't quite know what the number was until just looking at it right now at the top of our page.
It's a good thing I looked up in the top corner.
Yeah, I thought we were much earlier than that.
Well, I mean, technically, we did like a few shows of this before we like rebooted it. So this would probably technically be like 21 or 22 or something like that. But
I didn't even think of that. I was just even thinking of just these batch of specific shows where we were in the oeuvre of it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got another interesting episode tonight, a kind of horror themed, Halloween themed type of episode, because it's getting close to that time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been feeling the emotions of the season, Stephen. I don't know how that goes for you these days.
If you're talking about like anxiety about like holidays, sure, yeah.
I guess that I was thinking more of like you see a pumpkin, you're like, oh, that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like,
oh no, well, like that. This is my favorite time of the year. The weather cools down. The type of atmosphere of this time of year is my favorite. So for sure, yeah, I'm on board. But that anxiety thing is a real thing, I think, for a lot of us, and kind of plays into maybe some of the movies we'll talk about tonight. I know my film is very much about the psychologicalness of horror that horror can bring. But as always, if you have never watched the show, here on the Unwatched Pile, we go diving into our collections. You know, us collectors, we sometimes buy things we haven't seen. Sounds weird to a lot of people, I know, but we do it because we just love cinema that much. We want to collect it all. And so we have that Unwatched Pile. In this show, we go and we take a movie off that pile. We watch it. We give our first reactions here. And then we go back into the collection. We pick something that would pair nicely with it. That would be a great double feature. We do that. We talk about it. We have fun. And we always bring along a guest. Coming back to us for his, I believe, second time coming on the Unwatched Pile. He is in the future and is going to tell us how the show is going to go. Mr. John Matthews. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate being back. I miss being on the show. So, I appreciate the invite coming back.
You're always welcome, man. We always like having you. You got good movie knowledge. You're now showing filmmaking chops. So we'll get into that. But, you know, you're doing a little bit of everything. But just in general, man, how you feeling? How you doing?
Yeah, doing well. Like I said, just been busy. I was hoping to come on a bit earlier, but I had to push back joining the show. I just got back from the US on a bit of a tour, but yeah, doing well. It's just keeping busy and keeping up to date with my watching. I'm trying to keep on top of my watch pile as well. It's a bit of a problem. I'm gonna fall and be covered like Principal Skinner under a whole bunch of stuff soon. But yeah, it's been a busy time. But yeah, keeping well.
That's good, man. A guy he's in the chat. Tony.
Tony, yes, Tony and I. Tony's doing good too. We're still doing Imprint Cast and keeping up with that. With the support of Imprint, they've been really great. So yeah, we're just keeping busy with the podcast too.
Fantastic. And of course, you still have Indicator Cast, right? Is that still a thing? You're still doing it?
Yes, it is. We want to try and resurrect it. Fortunately, just due to the schedule of my co-hosts, both Matt and Ryan, things just kind of got a little bit hectic for them both, and we've put it on hold. I want to really resurrect it because I do know that the indicator guys want to reach out and have another chat with us. So hopefully that'll be sort of a kickstart to get it going again. But we really want to get it back on board because I really, I like that show as well.
Of course. We love the indicator brand, man. Them guys, they're just, that they're all in. They're all in with all they do.
Yeah.
And I like supporting guys like that. So, but also Jeff K's in the chat. Thank you. Good evening. Good evening.
Hello, Jeff.
But so this is like Andrew said, going to be more horror themes. We all tried to pick something in the horror genre. I'm a little interested with yours though, John, because I've seen The Substitute.
I'm sorry, I didn't pick anything. Oh, anyway, we'll get to it.
But yeah, so before we get into the show, as I hinted at a little bit earlier, you've been doing some filmmaking stuff. You've been working on, I think, a documentary that I think will be of interest to a lot of the audience that would watch this show or, a lot of other physical media shows. So please tell us about what you've been up to.
Yeah, definitely. So back in August, I went to the US with a colleague of mine, Danny, and we shot a documentary, still working on it. And it is in the realm of home videos. So if you're interested in the history of home video, I think you'll find a lot of interest here. What it's really about, the core of it is there was once a company called Anchor Bay Entertainment. You probably know the name. They were, back pioneers of the day. And we did a documentary around that company, but mainly focusing on how it's led to this boutique market we have today. I mean, without these guys, there would be no, I'd just say it, there would be no sort of boutique market. It wouldn't exist without these innovators. So how it all came about 10 or actually like 12, 13 years ago, on the earlier days of Facebook, I met a gentleman called Jay Douglas. And Jay used to be the VP of Anchor Bay. And I don't know how we connected, but we connected on Facebook and we just started talking. And he just used to comment my stuff like, oh yeah, that movie's really cool, man. And hey, recommend this. And so this guy was a really cool dude. I'm like, and I checked his profile, I'm like, VP Anchor Bay. So he used to work at Anchor Bay. And we struck up a friendship and we chatted for about, a good number of years, just talking back and forth about movies and music. And basically Jay told me all these wild stories about Anchor Bay. And I was like, wow, like I said, you should really do a book or a documentary. And he said, yeah, man, look one day. Yeah, it sounds cool, man. And he was like a hippie guy. He's a really, really awesome dude. And then in 2019, he tragically passed away. He had a heart attack and died. And we had like one or two phone calls like through Messenger because I was kind of pitching him the idea years ago before he passed. And then when he passed away, it really kind of motivated me. I'm like, okay, we have to tell this story because people need to know about this guy. He was like the Steve Jobs of the home video industry, and no one really knows about him because he was a bit under the radar. But the amount of people he mentored and came through him, like David Gregory, Michael Felcher, all these guys that went on to, the Synapse guys, like all these guys would be mentored under Jay. Jay would be like a real important home video figure. And so then COVID hit and screwed everything. I was originally planning to go to the US a lot earlier, and I reached out to people, and they said, yeah. And some people were a bit resistant, like, what's your MO? And so I kind of was really kind of like trying to reach out to people, and particularly like filmmakers like, William Lustig, who, worked at Anchor Bay. And first they were just like, what's going on here? Like, who's financing you? And a lot of people were just, I'm like, no, this is a complete passion project. And so then we COVID obviously kind of died off, and I got back into research again, and I started the project. And then a friend of mine, Danny, who's actually in production, said, oh, let's I told him the idea. I said I might go to the US and bring a phone and do it myself. He's like, no, we need to make this look good, professional. And so Danny came on board, and basically he was the production guy. And we lined it up and went over, and we traveled across America for a good 2 weeks, and we visited a lot of the home video labels, boutique labels, basically Synapse. We went to Synapse office. So Anchor Bay was actually a Detroit, Michigan company. That's where they were based originally. And so we saw a lot of the original people, and we went to Severin, and we caught up with Stephen Byro from Unearthed. So all these really like amazing people who I'd always want to catch up with. And we did this documentary. So it should be coming out yeah, hopefully in the new year, where Danny's working hard editing it, but we were blown away the amount of people who said, "Oh, look, I'll speak to this person," and then we got a big name sort of actor on board, which kind of blew me away because they were just like, "Oh, these guys are really cool. Like, they're not here for money, they're not here to rip you off." So yeah, it was quite a journey. So yeah, it's basically talking about that sort of that DVD era. I feel like there's been a million documentaries on VHS. Like there's one that comes out every week on VHS, but that sort of DVD era is kind of neglected in sort of the documenting the home video. So especially we're kind of covering from the mid 90s all the way up till the what we have today. So yeah, I think people find it fascinating. If you like home video, you'll find a lot. It was just these people who just said, they could have been another crappy distributor, but they said, no, Jay was like, no, let's make this cool. Let's the VHS, let's have it gatefold. Let's put a commentary on. Let's, so he's the guy that came up with all this, like this guy. And Book of the Dead, let's do a, Evil Dead package. So yeah, if you're interested in that, you'll definitely find interest in the Anchor Bay documentary because we cover up until today. So that's kind of a brief rundown.
That's great, man.
That's a good rundown. Yeah, I don't think a lot of kind of newer collectors know about Anchor Bay and know about what it was like collecting in the, I would say, mid to late 2000s.
Yeah.
The pre-Blu-ray, pre-high def, still lots of DVDs. Anchor Bay, if I remember correctly, they did a lot of horror stuff. It was then Blue Underground. Arrow started out doing pretty much just horror, but that was like a UK deal that they were doing. But I remember I have the old Anchor Bay Sam Raimi Evil Dead releases, not the Necronomicon one, that one that if you press the eye it made noise. That was always a fun one. But I have like all of those other like DVD releases from that time. And I know a lot of people, that's how you got a lot of Dario Argento and Fulci and all those types of like giallo horror and European horror was all like through Anchor Bay. It was the early days of boutique labels, very early days.
Absolutely. If it wasn't for them, a lot of people wouldn't have been exposed, including myself, like to Italian horror, that sort of genre. It was a real sort of amazing time, and these guys, took the genre films of respect. They were the Criterion of the day as well. No one was really doing that. I mean, Criterion were doing sort of art house, but Anchor Bay were really, and you notice a lot of the catalogs now, all the titles have ended up in Kino or Arrow, but back in the day, these guys were the innovators. So it's quite an interesting story. It's an up and down story. There was corruption, there was corporate greed. It's sad because people wonder what happened to Anchor Bay. It just like disappeared. And so we're going to really cover what happened, the turmoil within the company. And I think people find it fascinating. But yeah, they were the innovators of the day, definitely were. And it was cool. So we got to meet Don May Jr., all these guys. They're really, really nice. It was just fun hanging out with other, boutique labels and interviewing them too.
I was jealous. I was just watching your journey, man. You're just hanging out with people from Severin over there, and I was just like, John,
did you go to the
hate
Severin,
that guy?
Yeah, did you go to the Severin cellar?
Yeah, I think it was the cellar. I think it was. Yeah,
I remember those videos.
I don't know. It's really dark down there.
Well, that's their version of the Criterion Closet. For those of you who don't know,
it was everything. It was all on the wall, and so I just kind of went through and I got to go into their see their restoration facility where they had the film, and someone was working on a secret title. I can't remember, but he was doing some restoration work, and David Gregory was absolute gentleman. Like just let us brought us in, toured us around, and we interviewed another Severin team member who did work with Jay back in the day as well. So once again, all these people had these connections to Jay. And once again, we interviewed Bill Lustig, who runs Blue Underground. And Blue Underground people kind of see it as the Anchor Bay 2.0 because he took the best people across to Blue Underground. That's kind of where like all the titles went. And then those people went off. So it's kind of an interesting timeline where people went in their journey and the amount of people influenced. But yeah, we got to meet a lot of and everyone was, like I said, super super nice and helpful as well, and showed us around. So
we had a couple questions here. Oh, of course, people are just saying it sounds great. Shouting out on Danny there. So one question: how's it being released?
Yeah, we're still debating that. We just want to get it done, and then we might do a few screenings, and then we'll figure out. We're hoping to get on an accessible platform for people, so maybe and then obviously physical media, we'd like to do something like that too. Maybe if there's a label interested, so we will get out to people, so it will be accessible.
I know how it is. I know how these. Like, if you want to do like screenings, it's got to be like New York or LA or something like that. Whatever. You could just come to North Carolina where I'm at, and
if your local theater was still open, you pull some strings.
It is open.
I didn't know that.
It got reopened, but I would get them. I would set them up in something a little bigger than that.
I'm just saying, just as an option.
we have like an art cinema in our downtown area that's like nonprofit.
That's cool.
That does film festival. The River Run Film Festival is the festival that runs through in our area. But we have Asheville, North Carolina. Of course, they just got hit by a hurricane, but Asheville would be a great place to maybe do something like that if you were to come here. I'm just saying.
Right.
Yeah, no, we'll be going back. I'll be going back to the US definitely to premiere it. So I'll keep that in mind. We do want to have a Michigan sort of premiere because it's very much a Michigan story.
Well, no, you got to go back to some of the places you filmed at. LA. Yeah. You got to go back to them places for sure. Yeah.
So definitely.
That's exciting, man. I however I can see it. Whenever, hey, if I can get a behind the scenes watch, I'm just saying I know you. And we're cool, and I'm just saying, me and Andrew would love to give you a test screening behind the scenes, whatever. I'm just saying.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be doing a sort of rough cut. We'll send out to participants.
Oh, that's cool.
Get some feedback. And we'll definitely do that. So it will be accessible, and because it was all self-financed by me and Danny, we were just like it was all. Yeah, we put up the money ourselves to do all this, so we don't feel that. And Danny said to me, "Oh, what about Kickstarter?" I'm like, "No, I just feel pressure with Kickstarter. Like you owe people stuff, and so Kickstarters fall apart before. So we just financed ourselves. Thankfully, everyone we interviewed didn't ask for tons of money. Most people did for free. They're just like, I want to tell this story, so it kind of kept the budget kind of good for us. So yeah,
good.
It's easy.
Well, we could go on and on about this.
Right.
We'll leave some stuff for a Chasing Labels episode or something when we get a little bit closer. So, but let's do this thing. We got a lot of Josephina, of course, jumping in hard. She's got a lot of stuff she's been reading and watching.
Yeah. And then she's been watching some good stuff.
Yeah.
She heard some music.
Burnt Offerings.
Just some old stuff, man.
Yeah.
Madman. Madman. Yeah.
The Crazies. Yeah, that's the
Romero
version.
Yeah, the 70s, the original one. Yes.
Which is there's a Romero box set that has like those 3 films he did in the 70s before, like in between, like Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead.
Yes,
from Arrow. That's a nice box set.
She's over here daring. Well, first she asked about my baby. She's doing well. She's all over the place, and then she wants me to sing a song. She's daring me.
She's always trying to get you to.
Yeah, I know.
Always trying to get you to sing.
I know this song here. She's so high above me. She's so lovely. Yeah, I know that song.
That was a one-hit wonder from back in my teenage years.
Yeah. All right. Well, enough of that.
I know enough of that.
I bet you could you even hear my high note on there?
I did. It came through loud and clear.
I was gonna say, because this has like a it cuts off at a certain level, if it gets
remember that time I tried to whistle the whistle from Kill Bill and it wouldn't go through? I always remember that.
Yeah, well, apparently I didn't hit whistle level.
No, you didn't.
All right, so let's get into this Unwatched Pile number 17. John, what did you pick that was very horror related?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't.
No, it's okay.
I must have missed that. I'm sorry. And of course, we're coming up to Halloween, so why didn't I pick something horror?
You know what? I've seen The Substitute. I'm sorry, I'm messing it up for you.
No.
You could say it's a little scary.
A little scary, yeah. A little dark.
In like a lean on me kind of way, like
where
But go ahead, please. I'm sorry, I messed it up.
No, not at all. So so non-horror fashion. I picked recently released The Substitute from Vivision in Australia. So this is the awesome. Substitute collection. It has a nice little lenticular cover. There was an issue with the disc, but you can get it replaced if you contact Vivision. I think it's the I think they included the R-rated cut instead of the extended cut on there. So not a biggie, but they will replace it. So the reason I picked this because it came out a few weeks ago and it was sitting on the shelf. I'd seen Substitute 2 and 3, the Treat William ones, and I'd never seen the original. I don't know why, availability, distribution in Australia, but 2 and 3 were everywhere. Like every VHS store had 2 and 3 for some reason. Treat Williams. I only knew Substitute as Treat Williams. I never seen the first one. And so when this was announced by Viavision, I said, "Oh, well, now's a good chance I can finally see the first film." And so gladly got it. So I was quite surprised. The first Substitute film, it's one of those sort of teacher versus students type movies where he's coming into a sort of West Coast sort of high school. And there's some really bad sort of gangs involved. Now, this stars Tom Berenger, who's one of those guys. He's there on the cover. He never quite had the career that he should have. He's, in Platoon. He's in a few Oliver Stone films, but he's always been sort of this tough guy sort of persona. And he's a very different take. The Treat Williams one, like I said, it gets quite campy by three. It's cracking one-liners. But the first one, it's quite a serious film. It's not messing about. And basically, his girlfriend, so he's a mercenary, and he comes back home, and his girlfriend's working at a school and dealing with these really horrible kids. And one of the kids is Mark Anthony, who actually went on to be quite a big singer, but he plays one of the real sort of Latina, gang sort of criminals in the classroom. And basically it escalates to the point where she gets her legs smashed by someone after school. And Berenger comes back and he said, I'm going to find out who did this to you. And so he goes undercover, gets a job as a substitute in the school, and eventually kind of has a one-on-one with these students. And you've got an amazing cast, like people who you'd see end up like Raymond Cruz, who would end up in Breaking Bad. You also got Luis Guzman, and playing the principal, you've got Ernie Hudson, who you may know from various roles. And so basically, I was really surprised because the film's, like I said, quite serious, and it has a bit of heart to it as well, because these kids aren't bad. It's just the system that they're in. So it's got a few social commentary on sort of social and class and wealth. And like I said, these kids are trying to learn, but just so the influences around them. And he does connect with the kids, something that I feel the sequels kind of fail a bit. And he really starts enjoying the role. And then eventually it escalates to a head, and you find out that there's more to it. The principal is actually, I won't spoil it, but there's some sort of corruption going on within the school. And I was just, and Ernie Hudson, who you know more from sort of Ghostbusters, it's interesting to see him here in a more serious villain role. I've never seen him in quite a serious role, so it's different. And look, it's a blast. It goes through really quickly. The action sequences are great because once again, this is directed, I think, what's his name, Robert Mandel, who did FX, which is an incredible awesome film
movie.
Yeah, very good. And just like it's from start to finish, and there's cocaine, drug busts, and the final the final sequence where it's literally full on action, just with him and his mercenary friends basically taking on these youths, these gangs. It's really effective, and just emotional too. And I was really blown away by how good it was. I expected something quite cheesy like 2 and 3, but this Substitute film is the first one I would say is the best. It's and I see why it spawned some sequels, but I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was for what it could have been. It took itself quite seriously, which was great, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I was telling Andrew. I don't think Andrew said you haven't seen this, right?
I've not. No, I haven't.
Yeah. I grew up watching this film. It's one of them things. It's like random films like this were movies that I watched growing up because my parents had them in their VHS collection.
Yeah.
So this was one I watched probably a dozen more times growing up for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I guess my parents really liked Berenger because I had that in the VHS. I had Major League in the VHS.
Yeah.
A few of his films were always kind of in the player, and I like the film. I'd never seen the sequels, but the Substitute was always it always kind of made me think of films like Leno and Me, films like 187 with Sam Jackson, kind of that inner city kind of movie where you're dealing with inner city, and then in this case an outside force, which is this Marine or I think he's a Marine, right? Yeah. And he comes in and goes undercover and 21 Jump Streets it,
nice.
It's good. It's a solid. It's a dad movie. It's like
yes.
It's like a dad movie, but like just a little bit more dramatic with heart. Like,
Yes.
So yeah,
yeah, definitely felt
yeah,
that.
the heart really makes the movie good. Yeah, that it has in there. Yeah.
It could have been cold, but yeah, because he once again, and he connects with his kids, and you know, some of the characters you really care about, and you get really invested in it. So yeah, it could have been a typical straight to video affair, but it's definitely something different. And hopefully, I don't know in the US, but yeah, this is the only release right now. I think there's some maybe German releases, but this is, yeah, if you get a chance, pick it up. I'm guessing it'll probably be a Vestron release because it's owned by Lionsgate, maybe in the US,
probably.
but Vestron's gone all quiet. So definitely the Vivision set is the way to go if you want the substitute right now.
Sounds good to me. I'll go get it.
Mm.
All right. Well, I love that movie. There are horror. You could argue there's horror elements in that movie. It might not have been intentional with your pick, but you know, it would be scary to be a teacher of kids like this.
I would just say I was telling that to Steven earlier. You know, being a teacher in a high school can be a horrific experience for many, having to deal with children and teenagers and adolescents, and just trying to teach them like math would be very, very tough.
Math. I hated math. Horrific.
I just thought of a random subject off the top of my head that would be tough to teach kids. Because I remember being in math class when I was a kid, and they treated our teachers so poorly because they were so uninterested in the subject.
Same.
You know what I mean? And so they just didn't, care or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just remember that super nice guy though, the teacher. I aced it, so that's me bragging. Me bragging.
Whatever.
Whatever.
I'm an educated person. Well, cool.
Sorry, look at the big brain on Brett.
Oh yeah,
Whatever.
I just realized Jeff K said, of course, he's in The Big Chill as well. I forgot Berenger. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Very good.
There were many people in The Big Chill.
There are a lot of people.
There's an ensemble film. Now that I think about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, Andrew, let's move on to you. You got a more traditional horror movie.
Yeah,
here.
This may shock many of you to the point of hysterics.
Shocked me.
Shocked Steven, and he's not an easily shockable person, at least from what I understand. But I had never seen this movie. I've had this movie in my collection since I bought it on DVD, probably like 2007, and then bought it on Blu-ray without even having seen it. And that is Interview with the Vampire, which I know is a cultural favorite. I mean,
they made a TV show now.
Yeah, there's a TV show now. It's based on the book by Anne Rice, which was a whole book series as well, which they are, like Steven said, adapting now into a TV series. But this adaptation came out in 1994, starring people Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Christian Slater, Kirsten Dunst is in the film. Antonio Banderas is in the film as well. This is directed by Neil Jordan, who people are probably more familiar with this film, The Crying Game, which I believe he did before this. Stephen Rea, who was in The Crying Game, is in this film as well. It's a little crossover there. But this, like I said, this is a movie I had never seen. I had only seen clips of it. I'd heard people talk about it, but for just years and years, it was one of those movies where you always like, oh, I need to watch that. And I just never did. For whatever reason. I don't know what I was waiting for. I kind of want to read the books so I can watch the TV series now as well. But this only adapts the first book in this kind of long-running vampire series by Anne Rice. I think she wrote the book in 1976. And what is interesting is that just the making of this movie is interesting. Once Tom Cruise was cast as Lestat, apparently Anne Rice was so upset about that she just quit like working on the production of the movie and just like, yeah, do whatever you want, basically. And then afterwards, after seeing the movie and seeing Tom Cruise in the role, she wrote an actual like letter of apology to him saying that like, yeah, you were actually right for the role, I was wrong, all that stuff, which is fascinating because I would say that Tom Cruise is very much a highlight of this movie in surprising fashion. For those of you who don't know the story, this takes place over about 2 centuries. It really revolves around the Brad Pitt character in a very French name that I'm going to probably butcher here, is Louis de Pontdulac. It starts in 1791, like Louisiana, and then goes all the way up to present day. And it's really about his relationship with Tom Cruise's character, who is Lestat, who is the one who turns him into a vampire. And they have this interesting relationship, and then like they're surrogate parents to a very young Kirsten Dunst in this film, who was just a little girl. I think she was like 10 years old, around there, and she's fantastic in this film as a little vampiric girl, essentially. um Lots of, homoerotic overtones because they're two parents and a child. It's the movie, not so much romantic. It's a very cold film because you've got this diverse dynamic between these two polar opposite characters. Tom Cruise is very much what you think a vampire would be. He is outlandish, he is seductive, he is just going out and doing whatever he wants, while Brad Pitt's character is more introspective, more regretful. He's more not leaning into his vampiric tendencies. He is very much resisting all of that, whereas Tom Cruise is the exact opposite. So they kind of clash between each other, but it shows you kind of the different forms of like what a vampire would be. Um, and and what is interesting is that I think I just lost my camera. Steven, am I still there?
You're here, but your camera's gone.
That is very odd. Hold on.
Keep speaking, sir.
I'll keep speaking.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, so you get this diverse dynamic between these two characters, and they are just, like I said, the exact opposites. But you also see this kind of running theme throughout this, that perhaps being a vampire, living this life of immortality, may not all be what it's cracked up to be. It sounds a lot nice, not aging, not dying through natural causes, living forever,
And we lost him completely. He didn't live forever in this particular.
I think a vampire got him.
Yeah, vampire. He's like, don't talk about this movie. Have you seen Interview with a Vampire? It's been a while for me. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yes, yeah, it's one of those I saw many years ago, but I do like the film. I remember really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Especially, I think, it's one of those films I saw when I was a teenager.
Oh,
what?
Oh, you're back. I was trying to click on Andrew. Andrew popped in, and then and as soon as I tried to click on his, it went away. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, just saying, yeah, and yeah, I think some of the themes and stuff kind of went over my head, and because I wanted more of a like a film like Near Dark or something like that, sort of vampire film, but it's an interesting film, and it's sort of a period drama as well, and the cost, like, I remember this lavish production. It's a stunning looking film, and I remember the performances are great from both Pitt and Cruise as the vampires. So it's one I need to rewatch. It's been a while, but I remember enjoying it. Like, I thought it was during that sort of, and all that vampire boom, this Bram Stoker.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, kind of came back.
Yeah, it seems like it's about to boom again. Apparently, there's a lot of rumors of. I mean, I know we got the Ryan Coogler film coming out next year, and then it seems like there's a few projects that are in the works that are going to be getting another boom of vampires again. I thought we just had it when we had Twilight. That wasn't even that long ago. And then
I know.
And now we're getting vampires again. We didn't even get werewolves, really. I mean, come on, guys. We forgot about werewolves.
No, well, we had that. I think that Wolfman film was meant to kick it off, that 2010 film, but it didn't. Yeah, it was not a hit.
I don't want. Why is it so hard for people to? Nosferatu's coming out. Exactly.
Yeah, Nosferatu. Yeah.
I can't wait to see that. Yeah.
Same. It's like it pays homage to the original.
Why can't they make a good werewolf movie?
I don't know. And the Universal horrors, like the Wolfman's one of my favorites. It's like,
that's my favorite of the old school. Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got like films like that kind of deconstruct it, like Ginger Snaps and stuff that I loved growing up as a teenager. I thought it was amazing, but there's just hasn't been a good werewolf film in a long time.
Yeah, it's just for some reason they're having a hard idea, like coming up with interesting ideas to put in. Like take. There he is.
I'm back. So what happened? This has actually happened before on Chasing Labels. Is the software that I use that's for the camera froze.
Oh, geez.
I use Logitech software to control the camera, so it and so it just like kills like everything.
So maybe that software sucks.
The camera doesn't work. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a free software. That's why. It's brand new. But I don't know if you want me to jump back in. To what I
Well,
was
we were
saying.
just talking about vampire, and then we started talking about werewolf movies. But
Ah.
before we go back to you, I just want to say that yeah, we have a hard time for some reason with werewolf genre. I don't know why they can't
Yeah, can't seem to get it right.
Can't seem to take it. They're doing it with other types of with vampires. They seem to keep reinventing that and putting it in something, but werewolves have a hard time. But back to Interview with the Vampire,
Yeah,
please.
back to Interview with the Vampire, which is it's kind of interesting that you say that because this did come out in 1994, which I don't know, were the 90s like a happening time for vampires? I don't remember.
It was Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Bram Stoker's Dracula, which was 92.
Kind of, yeah.
I remember vampires obviously being a bigger thing in the 2000s, where you had like movies like Underworld were coming out, and of course the Twilight films towards the end of the decade.
Dracula 2000.
And then I mean Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman, which apparently
I mean vampire movies are always around. It's just like
they've been around for like a century. Like they go all the way back to like Nosferatu, and I think Josie just mentioned Vampire, the Carl Theodor Dreyer film. Which was in the silent era as well. They've been around forever. But what is interesting is that this movie kind of references like certain vampiric lore. And I think Brad Pitt's character kind of just dismisses it like, oh yeah, people just made that up. But it does also adhere to certain vampiric things like sunshine. They can't be in the sun, they can't do certain things. But I did want to mention that this release here is a rather old release. Speaking of like kind of ancient things, this release here is from 2008, and they've only since repackaged it a few times with the same disc. Even last year, when I think Warner Brothers had their whole like 100-year anniversary celebration, and I think they re-released it again, still the same exact disc. So we're talking about like early Blu-ray look here. It doesn't look particularly great. It doesn't even like when you put in the disc, it starts the movie right away. One of those where it doesn't really have a menu that you go to. It starts with a cast and like director intro that's like 2 minutes long. That's how it starts as soon as you put the disc in. Doesn't even have lossless sound, no DTS HD master, no true HD, obviously no Atmos. It's 5.1 Dolby Digital, so it's kind of like your old DVD days. This was like a step like right above DVDs in terms of quality. I think this movie is ripe for a remaster restoration. It's 30th anniversary this year, if my math is correct. So it really does need it. I've got the DVD here and the Blu-ray. I think this was the old DVD that I had from my old release, and then the Blu-ray here. But yeah, it's a rather ancient release when it comes to the history. We were talking about the history of like home media. 2008 was like very much early days of Blu-ray, so this is ripe for a renewal. But yeah, like I said, cultural film, a movie that is very cold, very nihilistic. It's very introspective. The Brad Pitt character is kind of a little bit dull in the movie. Not dull, but he's brooding all the time. If you like your vampires who are brooding and just like very existential, maybe this is for you. But yeah, I'm glad I finally watched it. Awesome. So that's it for Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah, Jeff said, "Did a Blu-rays fall on your camera?"
You would think so. By this, it's happened before, Jeff. It's happened before. If you guys can't see, but right here, there's a stack. There's a stack there. Yeah, it could happen. It could happen at any time.
It's a problem.
It is indeed a problem.
Yeah. All right. Is your camera on some DVDs?
No, it's on a tripod, but I have it situated in a way where I think I have the tripod. I don't have the tripod's base firmly spread out.
Okay.
It's more like heightened. The legs are heightened, so it's top heavy. Top heavy. Gravity and physics, man, it gets you every time.
Yeah,
every time. But Steven, you've got something you got to tell us about.
I got something. Well, to be honest with you, it's a hard movie to say a lot about because it is so. It's a hard on a first time watch. It's a lot. Because it is from the Swedish director Ingmar Bergman. So a one-time watch on one of his films is not always like, oh, I got a lot to say. Because, you're taking in a lot. It's in this specifically, not as, I wouldn't say this is like one of the hardest watches of his. This is probably one of the easier watches I've had of one of his films. But the 1968 film, and I don't have a Blu-ray case. I have a big Bergman set that I could hold
I was just
up.
gonna say, do you got the disc?
But I have the disc. It's also paired with from the life of the Muradas. Hour of the Wolf is the film we're talking about, which is considered kind of the horror movie that Bergman did. That is considered, like you could argue some of his other films have horror elements, but this one seems to be the one that people go to and say, hey, he did a horror movie. This film, like I said, came out in 1968, stars Max von Sydow, collaborator that he always had around. I think it's Liv Ullmann, which I believe, she was just in Persona just before this came out. So that was a big deal. And I believe she was pregnant with Bergman's child during the making of this movie. So a lot of interesting things just on a behind the scenes level about this movie. But so this is a film about an artist played by Max von Sydow, who takes his wife to this island, and he's an artist. He's a painter. He's a painter. He's going there to just, be an artist. And what this movie does is it starts to delve into his psychology as an artist, and how he struggles and how he slowly kind of delves into madness through his art. Like I said, not a lot to say. It's one of the movies where it's just kind of very atmospheric. It kind of tells its story in different ways. Like it has different narrators of the story. There's times where it's from Max von Sydow's perspective, but then sometimes it's from, his wife's perspectives, and then it goes into some surreal areas. So it's, I think on a first time watch, the first half of the movie kind of seems more like a drama. And then when you get to that last half an hour or so, it like starts to become the horror movie that you hear about. Like it gets very surreal. It gets very, some of the images are very kind of disturbing. There's a image where this woman pulls off her skin off her face. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Anybody else seen Hour of the Wolf that can maybe delve deeper into this? To me, the movie's mostly, it seems to be about, I guess the psychology, somebody's losing their mind, kind of through art, through the pressure of what it means to be an artist. Anybody else, John?
Yeah, I've seen the film. I haven't seen it. I saw it a couple of years ago when that Bergman set came out. I kind of ripped through them all, and I remember just once again the visuals of that was incredible. And speaking of Vampira from 1932, there's a lot of similarity, I think, in the visuals, like just with them coming in on the boat and the sort of the island and just sort of the atmosphere of it. And Max gives an incredible performance. I just remember, the imagery, the skin, the eyeballs. But yeah, it's one of those films, just descent into madness type films. And I do for a rewatch. I really enjoyed it, but I just remember being creeped out because it's just the imagery that really freaked me out the most. I still have it stuck in my head, some of those images, and some really stark black and white cinematography. So yeah, one I need to revisit. But yeah, it's exactly that. It's just I descent into madness, like something like Jacob's Ladder or something along those lines. But it's a creepy.
Yeah, and as Jeff K said, like the insanity of an artist, especially under public scrutiny, like how our character kind of like, thinks about how people think of him as an artist is kind of what he's kind of mostly feeling here. He's feeling the pressure of that that he's an imposter. Is he? And I think a lot of us have felt that at some point in our lives about something. Yeah, I mean, like, and then it's got a famous scene, nightmare scene of like a guy, walking up the wall and going up in the. That's a pretty famous scene there. And yeah, I mean, Andrew, I know you've seen it.
I have seen it. I saw it several years ago, I think. Even, was it before I got the Bergman set? I may have watched it on either Filmstruck or something like that. And yeah, it's like Steven said, it is kind of considered more like of Ingmar Bergman's like leaning more towards horror. Like it's his like one horror film. But I would argue that most of Ingmar Bergman's films are horrific in one way or another. They're certainly surreal. They
Yeah.
are certainly surreal, and they kind of scramble your brain a bit. And this movie kind of does that as well. But it's taking kind of the artist's perspective on being incredibly existential, which most of Bergman's work is, and then spinning that into like horrific existentialism,
Yeah.
like getting into things like self-doubt and like insanity and obsession and all these big kind of existential things that
And also
mediate
how
craziness.
yeah, and
You know?
also I think most also importantly how that affects the people around them. Not
Right.
that it's not just how what he's going through, but how his wife's going through it with him and how it affects her. And I think it's interesting, and it's one kind of aspect I honed in on is that how when you're in a relationship with somebody, how much you kind of can become one with that person, like, and you almost become the same person in a lot of ways. And I think that's a theme that's interesting, so she doesn't at first kind of understand what he's going through until you get further into the movie, and she starts to see the things that he's seeing later on in the film. And so, yeah, it's, not just the psychology of him, but also his wife too. So, I mean, it's one of like a lot of his films. It's good for a revisit. You watch it once and you get something out of it, but then it's the second, third time you can really you can start to really have good conversations.
And I believe you mentioned that it does star Max von Sydow,
Yeah.
who was a frequent collaborator with Bergman.
Oh yeah.
Some questions down here or some inquiries down here. Jeff also says, could it be autobiographical?
Yeah.
Could very well be.
Yeah.
Wild Strawberries certainly has horrific elements. Very true. I would even say Cries and Whispers. I was thinking of Cries and Whispers the other day, and I'm like, that movie has imagery in there which is pretty hefty. And even Persona. There's a whole sequence in Persona that you might as well have just dropped acid. Like it's that kind of paranoia, that affects you.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. I very much delved into that art, what we call nowadays that art horror realm. Because, I would say that this film probably influenced a lot of what you're seeing today with people like Ari Aster, filmmakers that like to delve into the surreal aspects of horror. People like that, Robert Eggers, this new wave of horror directors, I think took a lot of influence from films like this. Yep. So, all right, let's go back around. John, I can't wait to hear the pairing with The Substitute, because I'm gonna, because now that you brought up The Substitute, I want to rewatch it, and now I need to know what I need to pair it with. So, please.
But no, I'm gonna rewatch that Bergman film, because I just want to quickly say, when that box came out, I kind of ripped through them all. Yeah. It probably wasn't a good idea, because it's quite a harrowing experience.
I tried to do it, and I got like 15 movies in, and I was like, I was burned.
I know, I was really bad. And by the time you, like I said, Andrew, Cries and Whispers, like that's horror. I mean, someone dying the whole film. It's horrendous. It's horrific. But the horrors of life. But yeah, so I just want to. I'll definitely watch it by itself and go with a fresh mind. I think it was just so burnt out by Bergman. I should have really just come back to the set. And so that was unfortunately mixed in with all those other ones that kind of blurred for me. I remember bits and pieces, but I'm gonna put that on the watch pile for Halloween. Yes. Definitely will. Awesome. All right. So my So my horror themed double here. Yes, once again, I would pair it. Look, this is a bit of a horror, not really, but I guess it's quite horrific, some of the content. But the granddaddy of all teacher versus students movies, in my opinion, is The Class of 1984. So this was, I think, a Canadian film, and it's just like, once again, an 80s film about a teacher coming in the school. And obviously this is quite iconic. It's the punk sort of gang. And you see that cover and you wouldn't think much of the film. And that's the same with me. I was blown away by this when I first saw it. Basically, similar situation. Perry King is brought in as a new teacher to a school. And this is almost like a post-apocalyptic school. Like the way the kids dress, they're punks, there's security, they're bringing guns in the school. And Perry King is an interesting actor, very underrated. We did cover him on Possession of Joel Delaney, where he had sort of a role, but he never quite made that sort of break. But he's incredible. And once again, like The Substitute, like Berryman, he's really trying to get through to these kids because he thinks that, that there is a chance. He really wants to teach them. But unfortunately, there is a gang that just don't want to listen, don't care. And it's led by, what's his name? The main villain, I forgot his name, on a mental blank. But he's actually like a Hollywood producer now. This guy here on the front, I forgot his name, mental blank. But basically, he's leading a gang, and these are like really like horrific kids. Like they're doing drugs and drug dealing at school and beating up teachers. And and most of the teachers and staff are like, look, just stay away, don't get involved. And he's like, no, I want to help these kids. I actually want to teach. This is ridiculous. And so and you'll see a very young Michael J. Fox in the film as well. He has a cameo, I guess, as one of the kids that he wants him to snitch on the gang. He's like, come on, snitch, tell me. And but he doesn't let up. And you've also got the great Roddy McDowall in this film as well. He plays a teacher that's just really pushed to the edge. And him and Roddy McDowall kind of strike up a friendship. And then it does get the point where they actually do go in his class, and they there's a scene I will spoil, but they actually gut all his rabbits, and Roddy McDowall just snaps, and he just like pulls a gun out in class and just like screw you kids. And so they're really pushing the teachers over the edge, and then it escalates, and there's a bit of Clockwork Orange, like there is sort of a home invasion scene, like the guys are dressed sort of like droogs. So there's all these influences from various films, and but once again, it's just so competently made and directed. You would expect it to be really cheesy, but it really flows, because the director, he went on to do like Commando and really good films like that. But yeah, it escalates to the point where Perry King's wife gets involved, his pregnant wife gets involved. That's when it really, I'd say, leads into horror territory, because these gang members are just very brutal. And there's, I won't spoil too much, but there is a showdown which is quite graphic and gory. But once again, it's an incredibly well-made film. Like I said, I say this is the best of the teacher versus student films. It blew me away when I saw it years ago. Very low expectations. Great soundtrack as well. I think Alice Cooper did I think the opening score, We Are the Future, was one of those songs I think Alice Cooper was involved with. But overall, just really great Canucksploitation film. And I say it's the in my opinion, the greatest teacher versus student film of all time.
I don't know, man.
Roger Ebert gave it 2 thumbs up as well, which was quite a shock. So
Election, come on now, Election. Matthew.
Oh
Broderick.
yes. Well, there was no battle to the death, but maybe there was.
It could have been behind the scenes.
It was more battle of wills to the death.
Well, Broderick, he was being pushed to the edge. I wasn't surprised.
I mean, Breakfast Club, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah,
many students versus the principal.
The principal, yes, psychological.
Yeah. There's a lot. That's a genre that. You could have a lot of fun. We could do a whole episode on just that, the teacher versus student.
Yes.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I've seen the movie. It all sounds familiar to me, but it's when if I've seen it, it's been a while. Andrew, have you checked it out?
I have not seen it. No.
Yeah.
Of course, I've heard about it. I always get this confused, and I think I get something else confused. There's a Class of 1999.
There's a lot of Class of.
Wasn't there also, what was the movie? Was it Summer of 1984? Is that another movie, a horror movie set during that time? Well, there was a movie called Summer of 84, which came out in 2018, but that's completely different. But I'm just saying it is within that kind of horror genre.
It is. And look, there is Class of 99. That is complete. Look, it's a sequel, but it's so silly. The sequel is set in the future. You got cyborg teachers. It's really got nothing. This is actually a raw, gritty, serious film, but the sequel, hokey fun. And then there was a Class of 1992 Part 2 to add to the confusion. So they are loosely connected. But this is a Scream Factory release. It's the only release so far. Unfortunately, I watched it again recently. It's a pretty dated master. This is like 2014, like early Scream Factory Day release. So maybe someone's going to do a 4K or give it a nice new scan. But because Scream Factory, they've lost a lot of the rights to these sort of earlier releases. So so maybe I think it is out of print. I think
I could see a Vinegar Syndrome snatching that up.
Yes, definitely could.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Just because, Either they lose the rights to some stuff or they just re-release it in 4K. That seems to
4K,
be Scream Factory, Shout Factory's type of deal right now.
their motto.
Because I know I think they just lost the rights to Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3, which then just got released by Sandpiper Pictures, or
right.
re-released rather. And I know those were going for like high prices on eBay and such like that. But yeah, those early Scream Factory releases, I remember when those first came out, people were kind of losing their minds over them because it was the first time we had seen like a dedicated sub label within a bigger company. And they were putting out great stuff at the time as well. They still are.
Just
a lot of
expand.
4Ks.
Yeah, this was an amazing time. But sorry, I take that back. It is still available at Screen Factory Direct. There's only 98 left in stock, so I don't know what the deal is. So maybe just because I swore this was on a I saw some out of print list. But like I said, there might be a 4K. So it's a bit of a risky thing. If you want it, if you like the film, get it. But if not, I feel someone's going to pick it up.
Somebody's going to pick it up. So yeah,
I feel like that someone will too. That's the thing now. John kind of brings up this idea that if you want to pick up something now, you kind of hesitate because there could be a re-release. And we're leaning more towards like there's a higher percentage that's going to happen. So I'm so hesitant about like recommending people to buy things because I'm like, this probably going to get a
we're in a wave right now where most companies went into 4K, so you're looking at potential upgrades for a lot of films. So
you are, when the Blu-ray came out, once again, like you said, Andrew, like 2007 Blu-ray, it's kind of hard to recommend for someone to pick it up. Same with this list, the 2014 Blu-ray, and it's just like, it's one of those things where you feel like something's coming, definitely is, but you don't know, and that's the thing. It could fall out of print, and So yeah, it's just it's everything's getting upgraded, everything's getting re-released. So yeah, it's just for a 10-year-old Blu-ray, maybe if you really like the film, definitely pick it up.
Yeah. All right. Well, now I know what to do. I can do substitute in class of 84. So
nice.
I'll get on that. Andrew, please tell us what you paired with that.
Okay. All right.
Stone cold vampire film, Interview with the Vampire.
Before I was so rudely interrupted by technology failing me once again here on Chasing Labels.
Mm-hmm.
It's when I went to do look up which films to pair Interview with the Vampire with, of course, all I got was an abundance of vampire films similar to it. Near Dark, Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Lost Boys. You could go on and on in terms of vampire films, but I wanted something different. What I was trying to say before I was so rudely cut off, which I didn't get to get my transition in, is that the movie is really more of a cautionary tale about the bad parts of being a vampire. Yeah. When you get to the end of the movie, the Brad Pitt character pretty much makes that plain as day known. Like, this was a cautionary tale. You should not want to be a vampire after hearing my story. I forgot to say that he's telling his entire life story as a vampire to Christian Slater's character in the film. And Jeff had mentioned earlier that all he remembered was that River Phoenix was supposed to be in the movie. He was going to play the role that Christian Slater ended up doing. Obviously, River Phoenix, I think, had passed away before this movie had gone into production and such. So what is interesting is that with that in mind, that it's more of a movie about the pitfalls, about the trauma of living this immortal life, I had to go with the movie that kind of comments on that as well. So I went a little out of the box, but go with me on this one. Highlander. I went with Highlander. And I knew I was going to get that exact response from Steven and probably from many people at home.
No, I'm one of the few that does not care about this movie, but go ahead.
All right. I'm one of, I guess, many who do care about the movie.
No, I think it's a cult classic. People love Highlander.
They do.
They do. I'm one of the few that has watched it. I actually own it, and I kind of question why I own it because
I've owned it on DVD, I've owned it on Blu-ray, and now I've owned it in 4K. This is the Lionsgate release of the movie. Obviously, I remember we had covered here on Chasing Labels that Eureka, was it Eureka? No, it was Studio Canal. It was Studio Canal. They had released one of their big collector's edition sets in the UK of this movie. So, and I mentioned this many times on Chasing Labels, Lionsgate and Studio Canal have had a deal forever where basically Lionsgate puts out
Yes.
Lionsgate puts out the US equivalent. By US equivalent, I mean they just give you the 2 discs, the 4K and the Blu-ray, and I think that's but you get all the on disc extras essentially. Where it comes to Studio Canals, they'll give you, like extra swag, they'll give you extra goods. And the reason why I know this is a Studio Canal team up with Lionsgate is they gave you the lobby cards that literally say Studio Canal on them, right here inside. So that's how you know it is. So you get like the little like half extra swag that you get with Studio Canal. But the reason why I chose it is because it is a movie dealing about immortality, but also dealing with this kind of idea that immortality may not be all what it's hyped up to be. Yeah, it's kind of cool. You get to live forever. You don't die by traditional means. You don't really age at all. But you see things and you witness things that are kind of like traumatizing. Loved ones pass away, loved ones die. You see other things happen, other horrific events throughout history and things like that. And that's kind of the connection with Interview with the Vampires, that he does see all of those things happen in the 2 centuries that he is a vampire. This obviously takes a more fantasy spin on it. It's about like these, I don't know, worldwide clash of immortals. Then they have to kind of kill each other until the last one is left alive. Much different than Interview with the Vampire, where he's just like living moment to moment, kind of living rather meaningless life. Whereas this movie, there is a meaning to it all, but still you're dealing with the trauma of having to be immortal. This movie famously, of course, has the soundtrack's done by Queen, which has got many hits in there. Oh man, like so many things. Princes of the Universe. I remember the DVD came with the Queen soundtrack, which was kind of cool. But I've always been a big fan of this movie. This franchise, I guess now, is notorious for having kind of bad sequels. Highlander 2, The Quickening, is not great. There's a third.
Couldn't be quicker.
Yeah, couldn't be. The third film is called what's called like Hidden Dimensions, with Mario Van Peebles is like a bad guy in that. And then there was a TV series in the 90s, and then there was a couple of movies after that. Was it The Source, and then Endgame or something? I forgot what it was called. But anywho, they've been working on a reboot of this for many, many years. I think they've come to the point where, is Henry Cavill going to be the Highlander? I think
been the rumor. Yeah,
it was Ryan Reynolds at one point. I guess no longer that, but they've been working on a reboot of this forever. But I don't know. I needed something out of the box to connect with Interview with a Vampire that wasn't a vampire movie. So I was thinking immortality and the begrudging regret of living an immortal life. Yeah. So you've got that in Highlander. Clancy Brown's amazing in this movie as the Kurgan, the big bad guy, steals every scene he's in. There's one scene in the movie where he's in a church, and it's kind of brilliant. He's like the eponymous pure evil in like a holy place, and he's just having like the time of his life in there. But yeah, this also famously has Sean Connery as an Egyptian Spaniard, which is the most ridiculous thing you could ever possibly imagine. And it very much is that, because he has a Scottish accent. He's Egyptian, Spaniard, makes no sense.
Sure.
But he's his mentor, so whatever, you just go with it.
Almost just as much makes sense as what's his name in the Jesus movie. We were talking about it.
We were talking about
Martin Scorsese's film.
Harvey Keitel as
Harvey
Judas.
Keitel, yeah, it's almost Judas. Just bad as that.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if you see Sean Connery dressed like this, you're in for a very interesting.
It's actually worth it. Worth it. It looks like he's playing Thunder Lips from Rocky.
I don't know if he's a musketeer or if he's a pimp, but either way, he's something.
It's a musketeer pimp to me. John, it seems like you're a fan.
Yeah, I really like Highlander. It's one of those films I saw many years ago when I was younger, and it's directed by an Aussie director who did Razorback. And he's an interesting director because he's extremely visual. He's a very stunning, and Highlander, like the look of that film, like just like I personally think it influenced like a generation, like MTV music videos, and just the way like the style of it as well. But yeah, I was mentioning I have got this. There's the Studio Canal fancy set they did in the UK, which came with those postcards as well. But yeah, I've always liked it, and Elaine Burt's great, and Clancy Brown is amazing as the villain, and it's an epic story. Yeah, it's just fun, and I think it pairs well with the whole being immortal. But yeah, actually having more of it's not as nihilistic. It actually has a bit of a purpose, like to fight this evil entity. So it's fun, but very good pairing. And speaking of Anchor Bay did do the old DVD, which came with the Queen soundtrack. It came like a metal case.
Yeah, I had that actually. I actually have that exact set.
Same.
I think I had maybe a re-release that we just looked silver with the Highlander symbol on the cover and had 3 discs.
Yes.
Yeah, I had that set. That was how I first bought it, probably like 2007, 2008. It's been in my collection for that long, and then I've been upgrading it as we've gone along. Universal put out the Blu-ray, which was a little lackluster. Then they put out like a remastered Blu-ray, I think, after that. And then we got the 4K, which came out over the last few years, which obviously looks better than anything previously we've had.
All combined, yeah.
Right.
It's terrific.
Yeah, I was always for a while there until I got more educated. I was always confused when that movie Outlander came out. I thought Outlander was also Highlander, and then I realized it wasn't the same thing. It's just some random thing called Outlander.
That was the TV series, right?
Was it a TV series? Okay.
The TV series based off of a book, but it's also, I think, set in Scotland. So I think that's the connection that you may be getting there.
Maybe.
Because Connor McLeod, portrayed by Christopher Lambert, is Scottish. Although Christopher Lambert is French in real life, so he's not Scottish. But Sean Connery's Scottish.
I'm so
he's not playing a Scotsman.
confused.
What a movie! What a movie!
And then Queen does the soundtrack, and they're British.
That was the thing in the 80s where you would just get like the coolest band to do music for your thing, because Queen also did the Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon,
yeah, for sure. All right, let me show you how it's done, guys. A horror movie to go along with my horror movie.
Nice.
No, I'm just kidding. All right, so I did think about dabbling into some other genres to pair with this, actually. I did have some that there was one particular movie that I actually went straight for. And then I decided to go against it because I thought it's just too easy. I initially was going to pair this with The Babadook, film about somebody going through grief, then having a kind of a visual element to it where it's like, her psychology turns into this monster that's attacking her and her child. Like, it's perfect pairing. It works. You can do that one if you want. Also, going outside the genre, I thought about Birdman, where you got Michael Keaton plays this actor, this artist who is haunted by his past of playing this character that he can't move on from his career, get his career, move on from it. He's trying to put on this play, but everybody when asked him is about, are you doing a Birdman sequel? Are you doing more Birdmans? And then he just wants to put on this play and show that he's an artist, that he's more than that. And of course, he goes through things in the movie where he's, literally cussing out a critic in the middle of a bar, so similar things. And of course, not really of the horror genre, but it is surreal in a lot of ways. It has a lot of surreal elements to it throughout the movie. I thought that would be an interesting pairing as well. But the one I landed on, I thought it plays on a lot of the same elements. It's about an artist, a painter, that takes his family and moves into this new house. But then the evil that is involved in this is not just a manifestation of like his own issues, but they're real. It's like demonic. Mm-hmm. So I chose this film here from a company that I think John's aware of, Umbrella, Devil's Candy. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yes. So, as I said, artist, he's a painter. He goes and he starts creating these like crazy paintings of kids being killed and things like that. And what he is he's getting these visuals of this serial killer essentially. That's just, and he's in the film. He's played by, get his name here, so I don't forget here.
It's Ethan Embry.
Pruitt. Well, Ethan Embry's the main character who's the painter. Okay. Pruitt Taylor Vince is the one that's the killer who he keeps getting these visions of throughout the film. And so, there's actually an entity in this film that's, I guess, working through him that helps him create these paintings of these visions. And then, yeah, it's just a very atmospheric, very, very much like Hour of the Wolf. Cinematography is amazing, very moody, very dark, very much in the mind. But this plays on the horror a lot heavier. It's like people say this is like a heavy metal movie. It's got that soundtrack with all the heavy metal music. And it's just it's very, very much more traditional. Like it's a horror movie. Hour of the Wolf, I would say, is more artsy. It's more about the existential stuff going on in that film. The visuals do get a little horrific towards the end, but this film really, is more, I think, for a more palatable horror film for people. But hits on a lot of the same themes, a lot of the same kind of characteristics are involved in this film that I think the Hour of the Wolf has. So, anything about Devil's Candy, John?
I haven't seen it. No.
I know
being a Umbrella. I've got a lot of Umbrella titles, and I actually think I have it, which is even sadder because it's part of Beyond Genres, and I was trying to get all the Beyond Genres, so I definitely have it. But it was just one of those things. I was like, oh, it's a newer film. I'll get around to it. But I really want to see it now. I'm going to crack it open and give it a watch. It's it sounds great.
It's a cool movie. Yeah, it's one I discovered. Probably while doing the show, we talked about it, and then I watched it, and I was like, this is a cool movie. Like, I mean, and that genre, that heavy metal genre, where you got films that really tap into that. You got people, you got goth movies. You got movies that really delve into that cultural thing. And metal is its own thing. That creates a visual style that is unique to itself. So, like, it's definitely it was a discovery for me. And Andrew, I know you've seen it, right?
I have seen it because I remember I watched it for Chasing Labels when it was announced, I think. And these were kind of the early days where Umbrella had all of these kind of sub labels going on. They had Beyond Genres. They had what was the one that I liked season? What's it called?
So Sunburnt.
Sunburnt Screens or something like that. Coincidentally, I still got a pile here of Umbrella stuff. And then they had like their exploitation stuff. And they've kind of since gone away from doing all of that. I think it's been well over a year now since they've kind of gotten away from that, and they've gone to kind of like doing their monthly drops like everyone else of like 5 or 6 things. I think they just had their drop this past week, which I got to talk about in the next episode of Chasing Labels. Because I was just watching something for that last night. And they're doing kind of more collector's edition focus kind of stuff. So it's, if anything, Steven, you have a bit of a almost like a lost relic there of a release, because they don't really do that anymore. They do that type of release anymore.
I loved their sub labels.
It was cool.
I think the Beyond label was my favorite.
Yeah,
the Beyond Genres.
I have them all. Yeah.
I think I've got a few of those myself. I know I'm looking at Martyrs right now, and I've got their
Martyrs.
Their Burt Reynolds box set.
God, what's the one I'm blanking on?
Twisted Nerve was another one I got.
From what I heard, why they stopped, a friend of mine who works closely, does the Umbrella Group and whatnot, he said basically the lines weren't accessible. So collectors like us, if you see it's up to number 32, you're like, I don't want to go back and get them all. I'm not even going to bother with that. So a lot of people, it's weird. There are collectors who see numbers and they get irritated and they don't want to start a label.
We talked to one of the guys from Umbrella. I think it was right around the time they were about to make that change. And I think
that's what I was actually just going to say.
Yeah. I think I remember him
right around the time where they were making that transition. It was Ari Harrison, I think.
Yes.
From Umbrella. And, where they were very much making that change around that time. So this would have been last year, I think, like 2023.
Beyond that,
yeah. And it was So and that's kind of the mindset of the collector is, if you're an OCD collector or if you've got those type of peculiarities within your constitution of your person, that can happen. I know it happens to me. Stephen, I have very specific ways in which I do things. Very specific ways in which I collect things. If I see the numbers, they attract me right away. If I see like there's a specific sub label, I got to get them all. Did I miss out on early ones? What do I do now? All those kinds of things.
Funny enough, I'm growing out of that a little bit.
Yeah, when you
I
remove
have
to be
yourself
like,
from it so
mm,
much,
And I have
that
to be
happens.
yeah, there's certain lines like Paramount Plus. At first, I was not Paramount Plus, Paramount Presents. Sorry, at first I was, I'm
yeah.
going to get them all. Then I went, and then I started realizing they were having 4K upgrades elsewhere, and I was like, and so that was a lot, and that kind of broke the spell for me. I don't need
Mm.
it because yeah, but they do get you, and for certain collectors, yeah, if you see a spine, you're like, can't be bothered. So
You want them to all be like uniform on your
yes,
shelf, so you've got like 1, 2, 3, but then all the spines line up, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
I
That's
gotta get that.
that's gonna have to be your next documentary. Is just the
yeah,
obsession, the other side of it, the collector itself, and
it is.
the different type of collectors there are.
Very
You know?
much so. And
Yeah.
so and then of course, the further you go with that, you're still trying to grow your brand, you're still trying to get new people in so that can alienate people like you were
Yes,
saying,
Yeah.
John.
yeah,
Um, as it is, imprints up to I think we talked when Tony was on, there are over 300 releases now. They're
yeah.
300 and they're in the 360s, I think imprint is.
Now,
So that's a tall tale if you're asking somebody like that to try to dive into that. Um, but I don't know. It really all depends on who you are. But I get that a lot. I understand that makeup of it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of that movie, I think I talked about it when it came out. I remember it being very slow burning type of movie. Like you get the family that moves in, and then the father portrayed by Ethan Embry he starts painting these pictures in the barn area, and he's kind of slowly losing his mind. But
Yeah,
it's
it's very
metal. Like he listens to
similar.
a lot of
Yeah.
metal. I remember that, a lot of
Yeah.
Metallica
Yeah,
going on in
it's
there.
very dark and moody, and like I said, slow into madness kind of thing. It's just in this case, there's this entity that's also involved. It's not
Kind of like an
just
Amityville horror,
yeah,
something like Stir of Echoes with
yeah,
Kevin Bacon, something like that. Like it felt like that type of movie.
yeah, for sure. Even Jacob's Ladder, as you mentioned
Mm.
earlier, that'd be another one that would be
mm,
pretty similar on that kind of level too. But yeah, that's I like I said, I had some other different picks, but I want to keep it horror, and this one I think if I had to go in order, I would definitely say do the Bergman movie first as your warm up, and then do Devil's Candy as the late night movie that gets you really just get the juices flowing. Yeah, that is it. We've done it, guys. We've done it again. John, appreciate you coming on again, man.
no, thank you. I love being on, and apologize for anyone who wanted sort of a horror double, but horror-ish.
It's okay.
Fine.
It's just like Halloween. It's never been a big deal in Australia. Like we don't really
Yeah.
celebrate it. And for me, I watch horror all year round. So, but yeah, like I get it in the US, it's a big thing, and like decorations and stuff. But I wish we had more of that in Australia. We just don't. Like people don't even know what Halloween is. Some people like don't even know what it is. So
It's okay.
yeah.
We come up with holidays for everything.
Yeah.
If you guys miss one, I understand. It's Americans, they just want to always be partying. It's weird. Yeah. That's why we had football. So right now, every Sunday, it's a fucking party. I work for Pepsi. I know.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Well, you have Thanksgiving coming up soon.
Yeah, we got Thanksgiving, got Christmas, we got Flag Day,
New Year's.
whatever other thing.
New Year's is also known as the prom for adults.
Super Bowl. Yeah. But that is it. Tell everybody where they can find you, John.
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook just under my name, John Matthews, 1T. I'm in various groups like the Imprint and Indicator groups, and I am on Letterboxd under just my name, John Matthews, but with 1T. You'll find me on there as well.
Awesome. So keep up. Yeah, follow him. Keep up so you can know when his documentary is going to drop. Do you have a name for that documentary yet?
Yeah, we're still thinking. We were going to maybe call it Really Cool Movies, because that was one of his quotes, was really cool movies. That's what Anchor Bay does. So we might call it that, but we're still thinking. And we will. So Danny's going to make we will make a Facebook page and like a Instagram page. You can follow it there as well. But
cool.
yeah, if you want to add me personally, I put some updates there, and but we will be doing a sort of proper promotion soon.
Awesome. Can't wait, man. All right, Andrew. I guess we wrap it up here. Of course, follow Chasing Labels so you can keep up with the bi-weekly show that Andrew hosts, where you can get a rundown of some announcements from all your favorite boutique labels. Hopefully at some point soon, you'll see a little bit more of me. I'll be coming back with a new thing that I'm working on. We'll keep, of course, doing these monthly Unwatched Piles, man. But with that said, everybody have a good night. And what are you doing? I mean, God, we talk about this every month. Get the hell out of here. Watch some damn movies. See you guys.
See ya.
Goodbye.